Welcome back to Bread and Butter, everybody. We're the Hearthstone podcast where we're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. Welcome to episode 28. As always, I am here with my co-host, Tito.
Hi, everybody. And Doc's wrong because I messed up the show notes. It's actually episode 29.
Oh, I even corrected the show notes that said 29. Well then, welcome to episode 29, everybody, where I don't know how to read. And today, we have the legendary hunter main himself, Sidisi. Sidisi, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, Sidisi, what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone recently?
Well, I recently got Legend for the 61st time with...
Congrats.
Thank you. With a kind of a face hunter with extra hounds in it. Hounds and arrowsmiths. We were rocking out to destroying paladins. Yeah, so it was a nice fun list. So I hit Legend. I've been trying a bunch of different meme decks. I think maybe we'll get into that more later, but I couldn't quite punch it in with more of a meme deck, so I went with a different mix of good cards.
Nice. Tito, how about yourself?
I also recently hit Legend, which was nice. The goal was to really hit it like on day 4 and 5 or something really early, and I just didn't get there. But it's fine. I got there in the first half of the month. I'm not going to be here at the end of the month, so I can't really worry about a finish. I'll be in Disney World that last week, but I'm still pretty happy. I've been playing a lot of... so I climbed with a bunch of different things, trying to get my... Mostly Warrior, because I want to get... I'm within, I think, 30 games now of getting Warrior to 1,000. So I've been trying to play with the Warrior. And I'm going to go back to Warrior, but they say if you can't beat them, join them. So I played some Pure Paladin to get to the final 3 or 4 ranks. And I played a lot of Menagerie Warrior. It's been fun. But now that I've gotten there, I've actually been playing some Hunter. So it's been a lot of fun. And we'll talk about that. How about yourself, Doc? What have you been doing?
Yeah, so I hit Plat 7, which for me, for about the last year and a half, is one of the higher ranks I've achieved. Just because usually what'll happen is I don't really have a great multiplier. So by like Gold 5, it's 1 star a game. And so I just get burnt out fairly quickly comparatively on the climb. So then I switch to BGs or something else. But yeah, so since Gold 5, I haven't had a single star bonus other than just win streaking. But I've done it all with Pure Paladin, save for a couple games early on with Enraged Warrior. And I actually did most of my climb with pre-mini set Pure Paladin. And then I took out 1 Funk Fin, threw in the new 6-mana weapon, and that made a big difference.
Now, I know we've talked about this before, but I really think that if every season you just make the grind for 1 more half level. So if you go from like Platinum 5 to Diamond, and then the next month you worry about getting that 1 star and not trying to burn out all at once and get all the way to Legend. But if you just get 1 block every month higher than you were before, you'll be there in no time because you get the skills.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I definitely have to try that because I definitely haven't been doing it that way.
Yeah, all you do, don't look at Legend. Don't say I got to get to Legend that's so far away. Just say, okay, I've maxed out at Platinum 10, or I don't even know what the order of the ranks are, but I maxed out at Platinum 10. This month I'm just going to get to Platinum 5, and then I'm going to get to Diamond 10, and then I'm going to get to Diamond 5, and then you'll have the 9-star bonus, and then we push it to Legend. That's it.
Goals are good, but you don't have to overdo it either. If it's kind of, just have fun. If it's too intense and you're like, this is kind of bumming me out, then just take a break, If you're having fun and you're crushing it, then keep going.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of my relationship with Hearthstone is I'll play when I have fun. And then if I don't have fun, even if it's after like a game or two, I'm just like, okay, I'm done. And then I play something else. So speaking of playing other things, or doing other things other than Hearthstone, because we all have lives. Sidisi, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
I like Marvel Snap. I'm playing a little bit of that. Mostly just stuff with family and parenting, dad life is pretty constant. Going to work and whatnot.
Nice. What decks in Marvel Snap have you been playing?
I am a destroy enthusiast, so mostly destroy stuff. I was very devastated by the nerf to Wave, and I haven't played much She-Hulk, so I'm enjoying a null destroy deck, and I also have a little MODOK, a strong guy deck that I play too. So
nice. Yeah. Tito, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
Well, what I'm curious about, a MODOK strong guy sounds counterintuitive off the top. I mean, I guess unless you're looking to get a lot of swarms or something, but I'm interested in that. Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So it basically the core of the deck is MODOK, and you've got like your the Morbius guy, so you drop him early, and then you have Swarm, which you can discard early with Colleen Wing, and then you play Strong Guy maybe before you play MODOK. So then you have Morbius, Strong Guy, and MODOK as 3 big threats, and then you have Chavez for your top end. So usually on 6 you have Chavez and 2 to 4 swarms you can place out. So it's not like the most powerful deck, but if you draw MODOK win it, it's very consistent because you always have like 2 or 3 of the higher power cards. So you can it's a little bit of a cheeseball deck, but every time I draw MODOK I snap with it, and it's pretty effective.
I played a lot of. I completely misunderstood the Strong Guy because I haven't played him I played a lot of Monsanto Strong Guy from back in the day, but I completely forgot what Strong Guy did, and I was thinking it was cards in your hand, but it's no cards in your hand. So I was like, wait, how does that work together? I play a lot of the Destroy decks too. I especially like the Invisible Woman MODOK into Hela combo. That always makes me feel really nice. But Rip Galactus. I love Galactus. I know it's not the fan of everybody. I don't get why, because it's easy to counter. It's easy to see coming, and yet people are sad about it. And I had gotten a really cool variant which I really liked, and I wanted to play with it. So I've been a little salty about the compensation system of.
Snap. Where's my refund? I need a refund on that She-Hulk variant I spent $10 on, man. Come on.
Well, it brings up some interesting points because, like in Hearthstone, we have a great even though people complain like, hey, you nerfed this card, but this is the card that it really affected, so I should get a refund on that card or whatever. Hearthstone is great about refunding money when really or dust when they do that. Snap is an interesting thing, and it could also play into Hearthstone, and these are lessons that we're learning here, because I really think that at some point Hearthstone is going to sell us variants of our cards. We're going to be able to buy different fireballs and stuff like that. It seems like a natural progression given how they've monetized the battleground systems, and people have asked for variants of cards. They want to have full art and all that. So
have you heard of diamond cards? Have you heard of those?
Yes, and those are fantastic. But I also wouldn't be surprised if at some point they start giving us different art or something. And maybe I'm wrong, but with Marvel Snap, not only do you lose the base card, but how many variants have you bought? How many splits have you done? What is the refund that you get? I think if they just said, "Hey, sorry we nerfed your favorite card. Here's a free mystery variant. Go," that at least it'd be something. But sadly,
does Doc play Snap? Does he know what we're talking about?
So I played a little bit. I haven't played it in a while. It's just. So I got into the closed beta, right? But I got in on my Samsung, and about 4 weeks into the closed beta, my Samsung died and I got an iPhone. So then I couldn't play the beta anymore because it was on a different ecosystem. And so then I had to wait till the game released, and then I was just so far behind, and I played a little bit. Like I forget what collection level I'm at. It's not anything super impressive. I think I'm in middle of pool 2. So I was starting to get fun, like, destroy things and fun discard things. So I was playing a lot of, like, Discard with Apocalypse and some, like, other shenanigans and, like, fun dinosaur stuff and whatever. But, yeah, like, so granted, the card I've split isn't a strong card. It's Sentinel. But like that was a lot of games I had to do like with Sentinel to get the resources to be able to split and all that stuff. So I don't know. Like it sounds like Galactus just got nerfed or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not super tuned in. Like I see stuff on Twitter every now and then. But yeah, that's such a hard way. I feel like how they've done like the monetization of their game makes refunding significantly trickier than say Hearthstone.
Well, that's what I was suggesting. If they just said, "Well, we can't really compensate you for the time you put in, but at least like, hey, here's a free variant of something, or something along those lines to say, hey, we understand we did you dirty." But I've never gotten anything. So I've never got a good split. Like I've never got any of the cool black ones or anything like that. And my collection level, I just looked it up, is at 5,142. So I'm not
around the same spot.
So I haven't played a ton of games, but I mean I've played enough, and when all the splits I've done. But I'm also a person that like when I get my ability to upgrade cards, I just upgrade cards. I don't save them all for a certain character. I don't like little red circles on my thing, so I clear them. So I just look at, like they say you can change 8. I look at the 8. I say, okay, this is the one I want more, and I do that. So that's on me. But you would think that even with the odds of me doing some of these, I would have gotten a little lucky somewhere. And one of my splits would have been something, but it never happened. But anyway, to bring it all back, sorry to bring my ADHD and throw it onto the podcast today. I have been playing a lot of move decks lately, so I focus. I play the Destroy decks. I play the little Galactus decks. I like the move decks, or actually, I don't like the move decks, but I have been playing move decks with Ghost Crawler, Ghost Spider, and having her to move around Vulture and then Doctor Strange it and then all that. That's been a real lot of fun. And I picked up High Evolutionary because I had High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary is pinned. I picked up, even though I knew it wasn't going to be good, the Grand Tribunal, because I thought that was a fun card, and I thought that would actually go good in a Hela deck with lots of big minions, so that way you discard all your cards, discard your Gigantos, discard your the Infinauts and whatever, bring them all back, including the Grand Tribunal, spread it all across. It's been okay. I'm not a infinite player. I play around between 30 and 60, so I'm having fun. It's my side game. But outside of that, been working on the yard. You would think I'd have a beautiful yard by now because every week we come here and I say I've been doing yard work, but it's maintenance. It's mowing the lawn, it's getting rid of dog poop, it's hedge trimming, it's weed whacking, taking care of the chickens. Nothing that we want to do, because by the time you get the maintenance done, you're either done for the day or you run out of time. So I'm hoping over time and with money I can actually build up some of the yard and make it nicer and stuff. But for now, we're just trying to keep it not being too wild. But Doc, how about yourself? What have you been doing outside of the game of Hearthstone?
Yeah, so as I guess as regular listeners would know, and people that follow me on Twitter, I've been going on a lot of hikes recently. And there's a couple spots around town that my girlfriend and I really like to go to, and we've always wanted to share these places with some of our friends and my brother who lives in town as well. And so this weekend, I was actually able to take my brother on one of mine and Cortland's favorite places to hike, which is Mustang Pass Trail down in St. George, Utah. And on our way back, my brother was walking in front of me on the trail, and he stops, and he's like, "Doc, look." And there is a baby Mojave tortoise just walking across the gravel in front of us. And I kid you not, it was smaller than an apple. And so we took a bunch of pictures of it. We took videos of it. And I sent them to my girlfriend because my girlfriend loves desert tortoises. And of course, she was jealous because this was the first time I had done this hike without her. And naturally, it was the time that I got to see a tortoise, let alone a hatchling. So that was a really cool experience just because those animals are so endangered. And they're just magnificent little creatures, and we just admired its beauty for a while. It hid under a rock. It was really cool just to see this little thing crawl around. And then the following day, Cortland and I went on another hike on part of the same Mustang Pass Trail, and we found a splinter trail that this other hiker we had seen once before told us existed, but we could never find it. And it wasn't because we weren't looking for it. It was because the brush had grown so high. And down here, we get a lot of fires and everything. And fire season is rapidly approaching for this area. And so the DNR went and cut down a bunch of the brush. And so there's just some, because I'm 6'2" tall. The brush was hip high to me. So it's like 3 feet tall. And so that was a lot and could very much cover a less walked path. And we found it. We took it. You went up the backside of a mesa. It was really cool. And then once you get up to the top, you're just on top of a big old mesa, connects to the Ice House Trail, and just lots of lava rock, lots of whiptail lizards, just lots of nature. A good old time. And then a little bit of Diablo 4 is what I've been up to.
You haven't been touching grass. You've been touching mesa.
Yes. And it's beautiful. Like, y'all, hiking's awesome. If you have trails around, even if they're not very long, sometimes just being out in nature for 2-3 hours a day, seeing a different side of your town you've never seen before or whatever, does you good. Makes you appreciate stuff, makes you see the natural beauty of your area, even if you don't think it's there, because it's somewhere. You just have to find it.
Well, Doc, all this talk of hiking, it's got me a little hungry. I'm ready to start off with a little appetizer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So, Sidisi, how'd you start? What got you started in video games? What got you started in Hearthstone?
Oh, geez. We could do a whole episode just on that question. So I played a lot of different games in my life. I had a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo growing up. And I got into PC gaming and did lots of real-time strategy games, Warcraft 1, 2, StarCraft, Command & Conquer. I did all those kind of things for a while. I played a lot of first-person shooters in like a team setting, like Team Capture the Flag on like Half-Life mods. I did that almost like it was a job for a while, like playing with the team. That was super fun.
That's awesome.
And then when I got to college, I kind of made friends and, didn't spend hours a day gaming for a while, which was probably healthy for me. And after college, when I pretty unmemorable on like mobile games up until I started playing Hearthstone in about 2016. It was a really convenient game to play while rocking a baby, so that was nice. Or feeding babies. And right before Whispers of the Old Gods came out, right before Cthulhu.
Oh, awesome! So we actually started playing around the same time.
Sweet.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. Yeah, so that was basically what got me into Hearthstone, and kind of messed around with different things for a while. Played a lot of Enrage Warrior with the Raging Worgens, the OTK combo. Yes. Did some wacky Paladin things for a while. That like tried to play Control Paladin for a while. And then right around when Medan Streets of Gadgetzan came out, I got more into Hunter. Hunter was like the worst class then, so I was kind of interested in trying to figure out how to make the underdog better. And I like green; it's my favorite color. So I figured, hey, why not try this out? I'm usually like more aggressive or mid-rangey kind of decks. Usually more of my play style, so it seemed like a good fit, and so I guess the rest is history.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that adventure with us. So where does your name come from?
So actually Magic the Gathering. There's a character called Sidisi, and there's actually several Magic cards named after Sidisi. But she's some sort of Naga shaman, just basically a snake wizard.
She's a commander, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so they're legendary, and I guess so you could use them as your commander in an EDH game. But the one of them is a particular Sidisi Brood Tyrant is my namesake. That's more of a graveyard themed card, which is one of my favorite archetypes in Magic. So yeah, I like the character. I couldn't really think of anything else at the time when I was making my Hearthstone account, and then after several years, just never really bothered to change it. So it's kind of distinct and unique, you know. No one else has a similar name, really. So
Yeah, it's a perfect name. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. So besides the color green and wanting to make the underdog better, what drew you to Hunter and becoming a Hunter main?
Well, I think it was that kind of the mid-rangey, aggressive style of play. Although I do like, being control killer. That's one of my favorite Hunter roles because we can do a really value-heavy mid-range deck really well. So I don't know, that just the kind of the put guys out there, attack, not be, on the defensive. Those kind of things really appeal to me. And at Hunter, the hero power is like very intuitive for that, right? Just having the inevitability of dealing 2 damage every turn is pretty cool. So all of those things. And
nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yes, it is. So your brand, your presence, everyone who knows of you knows that you're synonymous with Hunter. Are you happy that you're, whenever anyone thinks of a Hunter expert or a Hunter brain for coming up with wacky off-meta decks, that you're the person they think of?
I guess, yeah. I guess that's what I've been striving for, but I mean, there's other people who are better at things than I am, right? There's other better, Hunter players and top Legend players. But I just want to try to be a news source and a place where we can kind of generate discussion and kind of a sense of community around people who like playing Hunter. So that's been kind of my main goal with creating content and trying to be kind of this facilitator of Hunter things.
Do you ever feel like you box
along
yourself?
the way? It's a lot of games. What's up?
Do you ever feel like you box yourself in though? Do you ever wish that you kind of diversified earlier so that you weren't thought of as the Hunter guy? You have to be the Hunter guy, and if I wasn't the Hunter guy, then what would I be? Like, do you ever wish that earlier on you said, "Well, no, I'm going to do more than that. I'll be Demon Hunter. I'll be that," or are you happy with the path you've chosen?
That's an interesting question. I think no regrets. But, I could branch out if I wanted to, right? I could say, I'm all Hunters now. I'm playing Demon Hunter. Deal with it. But, I haven't really felt the need. There's always been enough entertainment to keep me doing what I'm doing, and I'm still having fun with it. So sometimes if things get a little stale, I'll play Wild or Classic or Arena or Duels, or maybe I'll just go play a little bit more Snap. But it kind of ebbs and flows. But it's even after I got into content creation, I think in 2018. So it's been about 5 years of content creation. I've been streaming for 5 years. So
Congrats.
it's still still not old. So I guess that's I guess I'm doing okay with it.
So you do a lot of your own deck brewing. Have you ever seen anything you've made become not necessarily like super meta, but more popular than just, hey, I posted this deck list out because I thought it was fun, and then people started picking it up?
Little bits here and there. I usually will get, several, I'll see people who will, say they tried the deck and they really enjoyed it, or they got Legend with it or something like that. I'll find a mirror match occasionally where someone's playing one of my decks, which is kind of cool, on ladder. But I haven't had a huge meta influence. I think the one time that I've actually influenced the meta was when Renathal came out. I threw together I was like, oh, Renathal and Hunter, this is kind of hilarious. Why would we do that? But I put together like a mid-range deck with Renathal and just posted it on Twitter in like 5 or 10 minutes. And everyone, I think just with the timing of my tweet, everyone just kind of picked up that deck as their Renathal thing to try, and it had a really good performance on ladder. And Vicious Syndicate actually called me like the creator of Renathal Hunter because of that random thing. So, but yes, a lot of people played my Renathal deck, which I it was just kind of a theory craft.
Awesome. So you say you've hit Legend several times. Have you ever thought about trying to see how high, or I guess low, into Legend you could finish?
Oh, I mean, I've been in top 50 a couple times, but nowhere near the end of the month. So maybe my top finish is like 400 or 500.
Have you ever thought about going for a finish, though? Ever thought about trying to get those...
Like an actual finish? No.
No?
Not with kids. It's too stressful, and like, what am I really getting out of it, right? I don't... I'd have to get a babysitter to play in one of the tournaments if I got in. I don't know. I think just generally, I don't want to grind that many games. I don't think it's good for my mental health, so... The variance is too crazy in my opinion, right? Like, I need to be able to say that the cards just aren't going my way some days and play a few games and call it. But yeah, I mean, it would be cool if I, if I streamed as a full-time job or something. Maybe it'd be fun to try hard more, or try up different approaches to see. But but I've definitely ended in like 5-digit Legend range, just memeing off the deep end before.
So you have one Lonely Priest win. Do you remember how that win happened?
Now, just for context for your listeners, if you look at my screenshot of my journal with all the class wins on it, I have 16,000 Hunter wins. And I have one Priest win. So when you look at them next to each other, it looks even more ridiculous. But yeah, I'm not a Priest fan. So I had 0 for several years, and then a couple of years back they loaded arena runs from 2016 or something, from the vault or something. They added it in retroactively. So like one day I just randomly had a Priest win, I think from some arena run I did, like a 1-in-3 arena run I did in 2016.
Okay.
So
or maybe
my 0 was ruined. Yeah.
What is it about Priest you hate so much?
Honestly, I think it's just a bunch of nonsense, right? They steal your stuff and beat you with your own things. It's terrible. Or they basically just taking your stuff. Why can't they win with their own stuff? Like even that deck where they played the card and then mind blast you twice. At least it was their thing they killed you with. They didn't have to like take your Hydra to kill you.
Yeah,
it's painful. I mean, now in fairness to Tito, Smork Priest, Undead Priest, it's a pretty fair aggressive deck. So I mean, if I was going to dip my toe in, it probably would have been for that, but I couldn't quite get up for that either.
And I appreciate that I've actually known a little bit for that now, because I really kind of tried to push the archetype. I had a lot of fun with that. And you did do my first fight night, my first official fight night. My first fight night was Doc versus Smarns, which is a lot of fun. But our first official promo event was you versus Wicked. So how did this friendly rivalry of Hunter versus Priest, Wicked versus Sidisi, how did that all start?
I don't know. It's a little blurry. I guess we just kind of bumped into each other on the internet. I was probably cursing Priest or something, and he came in to correct me. But we've had a really great back and forth over the years. And I think, we've just been kind of friends from hanging out in each other's streams for years on end. So I think it's just kind of a friendly banter. I think getting to know him better has actually made me kind of appreciate all the different classes a little more. And I'm not someone who would advocate for delete Priest, for example, because that's just kind of a ridiculous notion, right? And you can't you can't get rid of the number one villain, and then you're gonna need a new villain if you get rid of the villain, right? So we have to have something there. So Wicked helped me see that, I think.
I believe we just subtweeted Daniel Stormy Sheldon.
So my take is without Priest, it'd be Rogue. Because Rogue also steals your cards, or steals random cards, which I have strong opinions about that now ever since they changed how Rogue stealing works, which it feels like forever ago. So you were on Wicked Goods podcast recently, Coin Concede. You're not thinking about getting into podcasting. You've just happened to be a guest on one of the largest podcasts, or are you thinking about getting into podcasting?
Probably not. There's a lot of good podcasts already. And yeah, I can get on twice a week to stream, and that's kind of already pushing it. And I like streaming a lot. And I don't have to be very prepared to do a stream, right? I can be like, here's a new deck I'm trying. Now you'll watch me play it for 2 hours, right? And I don't have to come up with interview questions or.
Well,
so
yeah.
Like you were saying, there's lots of good podcasts out there. There's also us, and maybe we also don't prepare all that well, but we have fun.
It seemed like you were very prepared, I thought, with your show notes and everything. So
I appreciate
props
that.
to you.
We want to make sure that our guests, because we are. I don't know. I'll speak for you, Doc, but I'll speak for me. We are punching well above our weight with the quality of the guests we have, given how young our podcast is and all that. We've had some amazing guests on, and some amazing repeat guests. So the most important thing for me, as far as that, is I want to make sure that people coming on feel comfortable, and if we don't want to ask them questions they don't want to talk about, and we want to make sure that if they're coming on, they probably want to talk about whatever they're coming on for. So want to make sure that we ask them questions that they want to answer. So we really kind of focus on that.
Nice. I think you'll go far then.
Yeah. Thank you. So speaking of earlier when we were talking about arts and different things, portraits, there's so many portraits in the game now. What is your favorite Hunter portrait?
Oh man. I think I have 5 favorited right now. So I have the
Okay.
But I'm not. It's hard to pick the number one. It's probably the original Sylvanas portrait we got. I like the new animated Sylvanas that we got. I like the one from was it Nathria with the red? She's got the blood hands up, and there's flame coming out of her hands or whatever. Her blood flame or infused anima, whatever that is. And then I love the Snow Flipper Rexar when he's kind of just. Grinning evilly while holding the penguin, and I also like. Oh, I like Dragonstalker Rexar. He's opulent. He's got the purple and golden armor on.
I was kind of surprised when they did so they have the one, I don't know which portrait it is, but they have one Rexar where he's got the nipple ring kind of hanging out. And
that's the one I like, Snow Flipper. Yeah.
Okay, I thought that with the rock Festival of Legends kind of mode, I thought we were going to see a little bit of Rocky Rexar, and we were going to see that nipple ring come back again, but apparently not. He's more Elvis-y, I think, right?
Rockabilly was more Elvis-y, yeah.
Which is fine.
That one didn't make it into the favorites for me, no. I like the animated Sylvanas, though. That one is, I think, the best animated portrait.
More than Blingtron, who his never stops?
That is almost distracting for me, and I don't have ADHD, so I can't imagine.
So if Hunter was not in the game, could you think of another class that you might want to have as your main, or the one that you think you would like the most if Hunter didn't exist?
I think I'd probably be a lot more diverse, but I would probably play a little bit of everything except for Priest. Honestly, I can't start now, right? It's too late.
Yeah,
I got some catch up to do on some other classes, so I could spread it around. I can play kind of an aggressive deck with pretty much every class, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Doc, I don't know about you, but I think appetizer was tasty, but I think I'm still getting hungry. What do you think it's time for the main course?
Yeah, that sounds good to me, Tito.
All right. So obviously we have Sidisi TV here. We're here to talk about Hunter. So let's first, before we get into the news today, what is the state of Hunter? Because there are some classes that have very few options, like maybe Warlock or whatever. There are some classes that have a lot of options, like Demon Hunter. You can play 4 different archetypes right now, which is weird in a 4-set meta. That's normally, like, you normally have 1 or 2 options and that's it. To see that being that diverse. And Death Knight's its own thing with 3 different classes and whatever. But where are we with Hunter? Do we have a lot of good options to play? Is it all kind of the big beast? Where are we with Hunter?
We have tons of options in Hunter, but if you want to climb with the highest win rate or like a tier 1 or tier 2 deck, it's a little bit more limited. But there's some things that are just kind of like, you could play a Shock Spitter Hunter deck and probably do pretty well, but I don't know if it's going to make any tier lists, But we do have, like the Big Beast deck that Vicious Syndicate build as Ultimate Hunter, right? So that's your small Big Beast package with Crush and Hydra and the new Hollow Hound, fantastic card. Mixed with all your Face Hunter tools, with your bananas and your monkeys and your Slither Spears and your Wild Seeds, mixed with a little 5-card Arcane package with your Conjured Arrows and your Star Powers and your Halderon. That's kind of Ultimate Hunter, all those things glued together in like a nice mid-rangey deck. That deck is pretty much like the main good deck that we have right now. But I've been playing Face Hunter. I played Face Hunter to Legend, right? I played a Face Hunter deck with Hollow Hounds in it, which is kind of silly, but I didn't lose to any aggressive decks because I could just kind of heal. I could make 4 Hollow Hounds every game with the breeders. So, you can kind of flex things a little bit to kind of counter what you're seeing in the meta. Like I was seeing a ton of Paladins, and it seemed crazy. This Ultimate Hunter wasn't running Aerosmith, which I think is really important to kill Paladins. So I did exceptionally well with an Aerosmith deck. So I think, Face Hunter's solid. I think Arcane Hunter is good too. So we have that whole Arcane package, which I think maybe we're supposed to talk more about later. But it's a deck you could play for diversity in the meta if you want.
Well, yeah, and there was a lot of complaints about the Arcane Hunter. They introduced some of the cards, I believe, in March of the Lich King, and people were like, well, there's not enough here. And people were upset about it, even though Hunter still had Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks, multiple Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks. I remember people were upset that, well, Arcane Hunter isn't a thing. And I didn't, but you still have good decks. Anyway, did Star Power, what is it? Is it Star Power? Did Star Power get Arcane? Is that what made Arcane viable, or is it a 4-set meta? How did Arcane Hunter go from being the meme of why won't you give us support for Arcane Hunter to being actually something good?
I think Star Power definitely helps. I think it's better than I was expecting it to be. People like to complain when every card isn't good, I think it's important to kind of call out that, every card isn't going to be in the Tier 1 deck. And that's okay. And, I feel like Arcane Hunter got a lot of flack, maybe unnecessarily. Even before this rotation, my friend Funky Monkey was like top 300 Legend with Arcane Hunter. So even though some people thought it was bad, other people were doing quite well with it. So I feel like it's been interesting to watch that evolve. But Star Power definitely makes the deck better. I think the real problem with Arcane package currently, or up till we got Star Power, was that we just didn't have a very high density of Arcane spells. So we only had, I think, 8 spells in deck that you could buff if you ran Arcane Shots, Conjured Arrows, Eversong Portals, and I'm going to space on the other one. Ricochet Shots. So if you run all of those, that's just 8 cards. So if you're running Silvermoon Farstrider, it's buffing cards in your hand. It's like you have to you want to play this 2-drop that buffs maybe 1 or 2 cards in your hand, and it's kind of awkward. So Star Power just gives you a little bit more odds of drawing an arcane card that you can buff. It just makes the whole package work better, in addition to being a great card.
And I'm hearing you talk about all these cards, and with the exception of Ricochet Shot, they all go minion, not face. So that's probably another issue where, like, you would think that you'd like you if you're not going face with the spells, there has to be something else behind it to carry it forward. So I can see where there might be some disconnect there as far as, like, well, how can I not kill my opponent with Arcane? Arcane is really there to kind of help you flip and stabilize and swing the board in your favor versus do the damage. It would seem to me, like, I'm not a Hunter expert. I probably only have maybe 2,500 games in Hunter versus the 14 million you have. But
hey, that's enough to get on the Hunter leaderboard, buddy. You're doing good.
but yeah, that's what it seems to me. Is like I think Arcane isn't meant to be like the deck. It's meant to be a support system to help whatever other archetype you're doing. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of the way it looks to me. But speaking of support, outside of Hollowhound, which was introduced in the mini set, and I'm not saying that you don't play them because you do, but in the meta, it doesn't really feel like any of the new beasts have taken hold. Like, if you look at most lists, you have the Hollowhound, but then it's Hydralodon and it's Skin Crush. And a lot of these other beasts, they're just not making the cut unless you're playing something memey or off meta. So what do you think it is about these cards that is... Because they feel strong. They look strong to me, and there's strong support cards behind them with... the legendary spell that brings them all back, and
Stranglethorn Heart.
Stranglethorn Heart, and the one that summons 2 with the Mana Thirst.
Faithful Companions.
There you go. So I'm horrible at remembering card names. So it feels like there's a powerful package there. So why aren't we seeing a lot of these minions?
Well, I mean, Mr. Muckla was in decks for a while, right? Especially before the mini set. I mean, he saw a lot of run. I think he'll be back. I mean, I'm running one of those meme decks you're talking about, but I'm running an ultra greedy Big Beast deck that was running Amplified Elix until we had Hollowhound come out. But why would I run a 6/12 taunt with a Death Rattle that deals 3 damage to all opponent minions for 10 mana if I could run a 6 mana 3/6 rush lifesteal cleave beast? Like, it's just an upgrade over Amplified Elix, right? Mm-hmm. But Banjosaur is cool too in that deck. It's great against control because, you pull Banjosaur from Faithful Companions and you kill their big thing and you draw a beast and they have to react to Banjosaur and then you hit them with Crush. So it's great.
Well, that's what I mean. These cards seem super powerful, but yet we're not seeing them we're not seeing them in meta decks. And that's why
I think it's just not the highest win rate card, right? People want to play the combination of cards that gives them the highest possible win rate, right? If you run Banjosaur, your win rate's going to go down because it's a 10 mana card, and it clunks up your hand.
So too many spikes, not enough Johnnies.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. We got faithful companions, and it feels like my greedy deck has no reliability on the Discover for faithful companions because I'm running 6 different beasts. So, it's like, maybe we'll get King Crush this time, guys. It'll be cool. And they're like, I get it every time. Sid, what are you talking about? It's just 1 of 3 in my deck. It works every time. So, I mean, you're kind of handicapping yourself, if you put the Discover above 3 in that deck, right?
That's fair. And this is outside of the questions I have, but I know you were playing Jungle Jammer for a while, and there was the light rays that we were glad that went away or changed their mana cost because it helped out the thing. But I don't see that card ever. I never see anybody play that card either, except for you when I'm watching your stream. It's still good. It's a good card, right? Like, is that another one where it's just not good enough to be optimized in certain decks? Like, it seems to me like having a weapon that's going to summon a mana just for playing cards. Summon a beast just for playing cards. Especially if you get it to 6 now. All you need to do is get it to 6 and get a Hollowhound, almost guaranteed.
I mean, it's in the same set as Bananas and Monkeys, right? I think that's a card that I agree with you. It's really strong. I think, think about after rotation next year, right? Like we're gonna lose a bunch of stuff, and then suddenly maybe you have you'll see Jungle Jammer come back for a set or two.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll get some crazy card next set that gives us a bunch more spells or makes us not want to run minions. Like if you're running a spell hunter deck, you would totally want to run Jungle Jammer in it, right?
They just need to reprint Zul'jin. That's all I'm saying. He's one of my favorite hero cards in the entire game.
Oh, Zul'jin. I miss Zul'jin. I kind of was wondering if we'd get an arcane Jace at some point, like the Demon Hunter minion. Maybe that's our path forward there. Or maybe we'll get Zul'jin and Korra. That would work.
The only hero card we have right now is Jiraxis, right? Like that's.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the first time in a while.
One more thing on Jungle Jammer, though. The wild seeds are the main reason why you don't see Jungle Jammer in decks. You gotta, it's really hard to keep the weapon up when you got stags coming online constantly.
That actually makes a lot of sense, and I can't tell you how many times that I have forgotten that I'm going to get a stag charge on the next turn when I have equipped my Kel'Thuzad, which we might as well talk about now. We'll jump right to there. So Kel'Thuzad was a meme card last year. I mean, in fact, during the battle versus Wicked Good, you had multiple decks that had Kel'Thuzad because it was Hunter versus Priest, and you had 3 different Hunter decks, and it was not a card that was ever played. And it was the Cope of Kel'Thuzad. It was a lot of memes, and it is like the best performing card right now in Hunter as far as some stats goes. So much so, in fact, that finally, as it's starting to shine, is getting nerfed tomorrow or Thursday. Like we've already been told, it's getting nerfed. So, what changed? Like, why is it just because it's a 4-set meta? Like, why is Kel'Thuzad go from a meme card to a super powerful card in such a short time?
I've always been very high on the card. I think people have just underestimated it. I think it's been performing well pretty much all along when it's been, in decks. It's just such a good card in a deck that runs Hydra. But we run all kinds of other little tiny minions that, or monkeys even, right? Like the monkeys make it better too. But, you play a lot of small things and you get to buff them all. It's pretty fantastic. And then everything in your deck is buffed too. Hollow Hound makes it insane because, your hounds are all 5 attack after you played the weapon. So, I don't know. It's just, it's the highest. If you look at the best Hunter deck on HS Replay, it's like the highest drawn win rate of all the cards in the deck. So,
what do you think the nerf's going to be?
I hope it's a light touch. I don't think they're going to raise the mana cost because that would just kind of kill the card. I don't think they're going to hit the effect because that would kind of ruin the card too. So I'm hopeful it's just changing the stats on the attack.
Make it like a 3/2.
Make it a 3/2 maybe. Or maybe just one swing, but that would be pretty terrible too, right? So I don't know. It's kind of a hard card to change if you're going to go beyond tweaking the attack on it.
It would be a very expensive 3/2 at 6 mana, that's for sure. But no, it's a good card. I've really enjoyed running it. Yeah, I mean,
I like it. We can't keep any weapons at 4. We had the great bow from Stag at 4.
Fair.
That got taken away from us too, but it's okay. I was trying to counsel the Hunter community on this today because it feels bad to get nerfed when you're just returning to relevance, right? But I think we'll have to wait and see what the changes are. But I think it's cool that Steno's getting nerfed and 3 Paladin cards. So it might be that Blizzard thought Hunter was going to be too good after those changes, which is pretty real possibility.
If you look at the matchups, it looked as though that if Paladin got nerfed, and Paladin just came back to prominence too, they're getting hit very hard. But given it looked like Hunter would be primed to fill that void if something wasn't done. So I don't think Hunter is getting hit so hard that it's not going to be successful. I think we're going to see Hunter be kind of the top dog along with Warrior for a while after these changes. I could be wrong, but that's just my initial opinion. But yeah, it is kind of sad that finally people are starting to play Hope, and it just kind of they kind of remove it. But what can you do?
Ironic that people will be dusting a card for full value that they thought needed a buff. So not too long ago.
So I kind of want to touch on one of the paladin changes. So they're nerfing Disco Maul, but I didn't think that weapon was that bad. It's the other weapon that's the big problem.
Well, Disco Maul.
Like,
No. So, are they not nerfing both? They're only nerfing Disco Maul. I thought they were nerfing both. But Disco Maul.
I thought they were just nerfing Disco Maul. Maybe I'm just.
No, you're probably
They're
right.
nerfing the spell that they put on the horn, though, right?
Right.
The
They're
life steal
nerfing Feast and Famine. The card Disco Maul is very good because Disco Maul has the potential to really swing games early because not only are you clearing with 2/2s, you buff something really fast, especially with Divine Shield, and it really gets you ahead on the board. I really thought they were going to They were going to nerf the Horn of the Windlord, but the Horn of the Windlord gives something Paladin that it just doesn't have, which is off-board damage, and it needs that if it's going to succeed. It's unique, it's interesting, it's fun. I thought they might have nerfed it in a way that would have kept the card relevant, like possibly keep it board based. Possibly, if they really wanted to, they could have done a couple things. They could have made it so that way instead of making minions 3/3, it did 1/1s. So therefore, you would do less healing with the Feast and Famine, or maybe I don't know. There are lots of options they could have done, but I think Disco Maul. They're going to keep their eye out on the Horn of the Windlord. They're going to say, we need to keep an eye on this. I'm sure. That's going to be in the notes. It'll be like, we thought about changing this, but we thought Disco Maul was a bigger offender. And they have all the stats for it. And I think there's so much there with the Disco Maul because you can hold the Disco Maul too. One of my favorite things to do, and I don't advise this because it's probably not the best play, but I like playing it in Mech Mage. I mean Mech Paladin. And I swing once, and I don't do it again until I've played like multiple mechs, and then when I have a mech that sticks and I'm happy and I have that 11/11 and it has, I pop a Ziliax on there and we just go, and it's not advisable. It's not the best play, but it's so much fun when you can just swing that and give it a minion like +11/+11 and you just win. So Disco Maul is a strong card. I think it would have got nerfed even if Horn of the Windlord doesn't exist. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but yeah, it's a good card.
I really like the format though, where they kind of tell us what's being nerfed. I think that's kind of a cool, kind of way to drive interest in the community. Lets people know that something's happening. I like the change in approach by Blizzard.
A friend of mine.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Doc.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. I think it's we're seeing like they've been pretty transparent the last couple of years compared to the early years of Hearthstone, but even in the last 2 years, we've seen such a new level of transparency and communication on balance changes, especially with the new info picks we get every announcement of the announcement now. It just helps people theorize and just mentally and maybe emotionally for some people prepare themselves for some cards getting changed. And even for like BGs, when they pull them down to the bottom with I assume the picture that says they're getting reworked or adjusted outside of a nerf and a buff. Like, I agree. I just think it's a fantastic format for them to let the community know what they're planning on doing.
A friend of mine hates it. He's like, I hate the damn circles with the colors and the thing. I just want to know what the things are. And I've explained to him. He's a real friend. He's I've bowled with him when I used to bowl before COVID. And he's like, I just want to know what they are. Why don't you just tell me what the things are? I was like, well, because you have to work on localization. He's like, I don't care. Just tell me what they are. I'm like, well, they're just giving us a thing. I don't care. Like,
well, there's
sorry,
a tooltip on it now. You can click on the tweet image, right, and see all the card names.
But he wants to know, like, what are they changing? Like, why can't you just tell me what's changing? Why do I have to wait 2 days? Why are you giving me this like little bit of information? And I'm like, well, it promotes discussion. It gives you an idea. It lets people like the THL League know that maybe they want to postpone a week. It just helps us. I think it promotes a lot of just interaction about, hey, what do you think's changing? People get upset, like, oh, I can't believe like everyone was worried about Warrior getting nerfed, and like Warrior just got good or better after a year of people complaining? Are you going to nerf us now? Is there a warrior card? I think there's one warrior card. Maybe I'm wrong, but I love it because it's like we can't know what these are until they get the localizations. But it's like, hey, changes are coming. These cards are getting buffed. These cards are getting nerfed. It's fun to talk about. It's interesting. Gives you 2 days of interaction. I love it. But speaking of controversial things, Sidisi. Paladin, this expansion, had all secrets removed from the core set. And they were not given any secrets. And that actually probably was more of a nerf to Rogue than it was to Paladin, because the Rogue secrets with Hanar coming back, that 1 mana secret to keep that chain going, was pretty useful. Probably just, that's just maybe that's why they brought Hanar back, because they figured, well, with Paladin secrets gone, it might be a little more fair. But what do you think about that in regards to Hunter? Hunter secrets and secrets in general are a very divisive topic. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people think that they shouldn't exist, some people can't wait for more of them. Do you think that Hunter would be better if they took those secret packages out of Standard and did the same kind of thing that they did to Paladin and replaced secret cards with other cards that are maybe more relevant or more useful? Or do you think that secrets really add something to Hunter, even if they're not relevant at the moment, that there's something you'd like to see? What are your thoughts on Hunter secrets, and would you like to see them stay or go if you had a say in that?
Wow. I like secrets. Currently, in Standard, if you took them out of the core set, Hunter would be a lot better. So right now, just to fill in the audience, right, we just got a card that draws a secret, Costume Singer, in the mini set. So we can now draw a secret. We have 8 secrets in Standard. And we have 1 card, Harmonica Soloist, a 3-mana 4/2. If you have no other minions in play, discover and cast a secret. And that is it. Beyond that, there's a couple neutral things. There's like a 2/5 taunt that copies itself if you have a secret up that costs 4 mana. And there's a card that lets you play one for free. It's like a 2/3. But there's like no payoff for playing secrets in Hunter. And there's no mana cheat. Like usually secrets are good when you play them at discounted or for free. Like we saw with Dunbaldar Bunker or Cloaked Huntress. So I was telling them on Coin Concede, but like even before rotation, I was sick of Rogue's shenanigans. I was playing a teched out secret deck. I was running Cloaked Huntress, Sketchy Stranger that lets you discover a secret from, any class, and like Motion Denied and Ice Trap and maybe a Freezing Trap or something. It was just like a little tech package of secrets. But then when you have the Huntress along with Sketchy Stranger, you could curve Stranger into Huntress and play like 3 secrets, and it was kind of insane just to be able to do that. But then they took Cloaked Huntress out of the core set, so now there's like not really, we can't even do that little plan anymore. And Dunbaldar Bunker rotated. So I feel like the way they've set it up, we have to be getting secret support in one of the next expansions. But it feels bad right now because there's a lot of card slots that aren't really getting used. I've seen my buddy Jambray was trying a small package in a Spitter deck with 2 Costume Singers and like 3 or 4 secrets. I think he was running the new Hidden Meaning, right? So you can get a 3-drop with Initiative, which is kind of cool. I generally don't like random 3-drops when I could just play a 3-drop I like. So I'm not really getting jazzed up to do that. So yeah, I like secrets. Some of my favorite decks, Hunter decks, have had secrets in them with like Subject 9, and Phase Stalker's super cool, and there's lots of cool things Hunter can do with secrets. It's just not happening for us right now.
Phase Stalker is an all-time Hunter card, I believe. That was such a good card.
Spellstone, oof, that was so fun.
Yep, those were the days.
All right, so secrets, core part of Hunter, even if they're not valuable now, you like them. So what about the hero power? In the current meta right now, do you feel like the hero power? Normally, the hero power is a powerful tool. Do you feel like that it is good in the current meta? And do you think that it is too limiting in the hunter deck space? Because what you're saying with the hero power is, I want to go face, I want to put you on a clock, but then that means kind of you need to. A lot of times, if you want to work in your hero power, you need to be in an aggro mindset. Do you think that that is the right hero power for a hunter, or do you think that maybe there's some other options that would be better in the hunter space? I know they're not going to change it, but
I haven't thought about that too much. I don't think hunter needs a new hero power or anything like that. I think in the past we've had some interesting shakeups to how we could use our hero power, like most recently with the quest line with Tavish. You can direction shoot anything, but we've had stuff in the past like Dwarven Sharpshooter and Steam Weedle Sniper or whatever, and could target the hero power. So, it's fine. I think, right now it kind of feels nice that it just kind of is what it is, and it doesn't, like, after 2 years of having the quest, where we could kind of, there's a lot of, frequently we're directing it. But I do like the inevitability. I like that it's part of our identity. And it's kind of something we can all kind of unify around, which I think is kind of cool. Just kind of hit the button. But it does make playing Control Hunter hard, in my experience. I imagine Warrior players feel the same way, right? They're trying to play Enrage and they're just hitting armor up.
I do know that I don't think I hit the hero when I play Hunter. I don't think I hit the hero power enough, because I know you're supposed to like weave it in a lot more and use that in with your resources. But I usually typically still try to spend my mana in the hero power. In general, you want to spend your mana and only use your hero power if there isn't the option for other cards to play, or unless it's actively involved in your plan of what you're doing with that deck. But Hunter, your plan is to, in most decks, to whittle them down and create that inevitability. And I feel like I probably fail at using that hero power as much as I should. But maybe I'm wrong. It just always feels like I evaluate games. I'm like, maybe I hit the hero power twice. Is that enough? Should I be like planning? Should instead of playing that 3 mana card, should I have played the 1 mana card and hero powered? And I just don't know.
It depends though, right? Like generally we don't run a lot of card draw, so you don't have a lot of stuff in your hand to choose from. So sometimes the line's really clear, like I can play this 2-drop and I have 2 mana, and I could play this other thing that's not quite as good right now, or I could hit the button, and you probably just decide to hit the button. So I think, like, especially in a face deck, if you're running your Conjured Arrows, or there's not really a whole lot of options for draw for us. I feel like it's a little bit more natural when you're playing like the more mid-rangey deck, like with the big beast package. If you have a decent draw, it's easy to just kind of curve out and play your 3-drop, your 4-drop, your 5-drop, and then maybe you're not hero powering much until the later turns. But I guess it kind of depends on the game plan and what deck you're playing, I think, more than anything.
Right, that's fair.
But it's great at the end of some games. I mean,
yes.
Like, you have that inevitability, if you're playing against someone who can't really kill you, or they're, like Demon Hunter is, they want me to play minion so they can unleash Fel on me. Well, no, sorry, you're at 6 life. I'm just going to sit back and hit you with weapons and shoot you from afar. You kind of have that flexibility, which I think is nice. You can be a little bit cloak and dagger if you're playing Secret Hunter. You can put up your explosive trap and just sit there in some situations. So the hero power, I feel like, kind of makes those situations cooler.
Fair enough. All right. So Team 5, let's say you had the ability to talk to Team 5 and say, over the next couple sets, this is what I'd like to see with Hunter. Maybe not necessarily like specifically creating the sets, but what would you like to see from Hunter over the next couple sets? How would you like to see it be increases competitiveness? What kind of interesting things would you like to see? How would you like to see them improve Hunter over the next year?
Well, I am in the Hearthstone Creator Program, so I technically can tell Team 5. So that's pretty cool. not trying to brag or anything, but I do have that power. I guess so. Hunter is missing a few things. Secret support is, like I highlighted, is pretty poor, right? So we need some secret help, or like they said they could switch cards out of the core set. So if we're not getting it, hey, let's take some secrets out of the core set and give us something else. I would love to have Dire Frenzy. I've been trying to make Freebird work. It's pretty terrible without any sort of way to put more of them in my deck. Stuff like that. So, but I think another area that we're really lacking is death rattles. So we have Defense Attorney Nathanos, who's just a super cool card. And lets you kind of discover a death rattle that's already died and replay the death rattle, get another copy in your hand. Just a great value engine. So I was running a deck with our new Yelling Yodeler. And I don't know if our listeners are familiar with Yelling Yodeler from watching Death Knight play, but Hunter can also play Yelling Yodeler. But the death rattles are so poor that you're really kind of limited to running it with eggs, or like you can run it with Nathanos. Invincible is cool. The 8 mana beast horse.
Oh, you played a whole undead hunter, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, so I played 70 or 80 games with a death rattle hunter, just to try to really test this out, test out Yodeler. And there are some cool things you can do with Invincible and like an undead kind of shell. So, if you find Invincible off the bottom of your deck with Harpoon Gun, you can get it down kind of early, buff a wild seed, because those are undead, or you could buff I'm running Zombeasts. I'm running the Scourge Tamers in that deck. But that deck was really fun. It just didn't do very good against Paladin. So all of a sudden Paladin is taking over. It's kind of hard to play that deck. But I guess what I was getting at is there really aren't a lot of early death rattle minions that you want to play. Something like a Kindly Grandmother, or I hesitate to suggest Bloated Python because that card wasn't very good, but like something where there's a decent early game death rattle that we would want to run Yelling Yodeler with. So just running the eggs isn't really doing it for me. They're okay. It's just they're kind of clunky, and they don't, you kind of have to draw exactly your egg into the Yodeler for it to feel functional. So yeah, or even like something else like Invincible. Like if you get Yodeler on a Sin Runner and destroy 2 enemy minions, that's pretty cool. And if you get Yodeler on Invincible and buff +10/+10 on your board, then that's amazing, right? But it's hard to set those things up. So I feel like Hunter needs more early synergy where you'd want to, like, there's no Play Dead, there's no Feign Death. We don't have Terran Gorefiend or anything to really kind of pull it all together. So we need more early death rattle stuff for that, I think. That would be cool. A little bit more arcane stuff would be nice.
Fair. It seems like Blizzard forgot about Nathanos like Sylvanas forgot about Nathanos when she got to the Shadowlands. But
neither here nor there.
Yeah, neither here nor there. So actually, one final question. If you could bring any one card into core that's not there for Hunter, what would you like to bring back? And why is it Phase Stalker?
Phase Stalker would be quite good. That might make the most sense. We don't have any small beasts either. Like we have, we've got the Wild Seeds and we've got the monkeys. But we don't really... Like, I kind of miss Crackling Razormaw, too. That would be another good one.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'd put out a whole post about what core set I wanted, and I also had Varisa, Windrunner, on there. Because she would be sweet with the Arcane deck. Like, maybe if they made her 1 mana cheaper.
But for our listeners, what does she do again?
She is a 5/6 legendary that gives you Thoridal, the Star's Fury. It's a 2/3 weapon that when you swing it, it gives you +2 spell power for the turn. So, like, if you ran her, then you get, you juice up all your arcane spells. It'd be super fun. So one of those 3 would be awesome. But yeah, Phase Stalker would definitely go a long way.
Well, fantastic. But Doc, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get full, but I think I have a little room for dessert.
Yeah, dessert sounds good. And speaking about dessert, Sidisi, what dessert is your favorite?
Ooh. I'm a big fan of pie.
Ooh.
Fruit pie. But
Okay.
I'm not too picky. I'll eat just about anything. Love a good blueberry pie.
My man.
We'll go with that.
That's a
What about you guys?
very good answer. Thank you. Sorry, I know that one's kind of random, but we figured it was just like kind of a fun last hoorah question.
We're trying to work in new bits.
Yeah.
Coin Conceit asked me about my sandwich, so that was kind of in the same vein. That was good.
Okay. Podcasts like food is what I'm gathering from this.
And I'm an old man.
Yeah.
You got food. There's a joke on Squelch for those that don't listen. They have a food with old men chat very often.
So, listeners, a way you can let us know how we're doing with the show is you can leave us a review on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, whatever podcatcher of your choice. Make it honest. We would prefer, for visibility reasons, a 5-star review, and then just have you spill your heart out in the depth of the review. But let us know the good, bad, the ugly, so that we can make the show as good as we want everyone to think the show is. Sidisi, where can people find you?
I am Sidisi TV, SIDISI TV, Twitter and Twitch. So yeah, check me out. I'm streaming on Tuesday and Sunday nights after the kids are in bed. And I'll usually post on Twitter about what I'm doing and exactly what time I'll be on. So check me out on there. All the Hunter news on Twitter. So if you want to know what the latest decks are, always feel free to tweet at me and I'll help you out.
Perfect, thank you. Tito, where can people find you?
You can find me at Tito Santana HS on both Twitter and Twitch. How about yourself, Doc?
So you can find me at Doc McButt on Twitter and Twitch. And you can also email the show at breadandbutterhs@gmail.com. And that is N as in the letter. Leave a review, email us, we'll read it out on the show.
Doc, shout outs. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I read ahead and, yep, no, we're good. We will fix that in post. Sidisi, any shout outs you'd like to give today?
Thank you to you guys for having me on. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. You guys are amazing. And we'll pour one out for Hope of Kel'Thalas.
Yep. Well, thank you. I gotta shout you out because Hunter, one of my favorite classes. Always fun to see what your brain comes up with for what you're wanting to do with Hunter, and haven't replicated the success, but have had fun with some of the lists of yours I've tried. Yeah, Tito, how about yourself?
Well, obviously, I'd like to thank Sid for coming on. Especially at a short notice. I started talking to Sid about Sunday night about coming on, and we were able to work out something pretty quick. So I appreciate that, and I really like the idea of having these class experts on, and I can't think of anybody more of a class expert than Sid. So Sid, thank you, and I think that's it for me this week. How about yourself, Doc?
Yeah, I am good.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us guys tonight. I think we're toast. We'll see ya.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.